Globalisation continues to reshape education through economic integration, cultural mobility, and accelerating technological change. It links communities, markets, and ecosystems more tightly than ever before, creating classrooms that reflect a world of interconnected challenges. In Australia, these shifts have prompted curriculum reforms that emphasise global awareness, ethical understanding, and sustainability. Bagnall describes globalisation as a web of interconnection that changes not only what is taught by, but how knowledge itself is produced and valued. Within this context, teachers are required to cultivate students who can think systematically, act ethically, and collaborate across cultural and disciplinary boundaries. Two global impacts are especially influential. First is education for sustainability in the Anthropocene and global citizenship with intercultural understanding. Together, they illustrate how globalization is transforming pedagogy, curriculum, and teacher identity. The Australian curriculum positions sustainability as a cross-curricular priority that should filter through all subject areas. This recognises that learning must equip young people to respond critically to the environmental crises shaping their future. Earth system scientists warn that human activity is driving the planet towards a hothouse Earth trajectory. They argue that deliberate planetary stewardship through decarbonisation, ecological restoration, and transformed social values can stabilise conditions for human life. Education becomes central to this process, connecting knowledge with agency and ethical responsibility. McGregor, Pound, and Kahn describe climate change as a wicked problem that cannot be addressed through technical expertise alone. Their model of radical truth, hope, imagining, and teaching calls for honest engagement with global realities, while sustaining optimism and creating possibility. In globalized classrooms, this translates into teaching that highlights interconnection and systems thinking. Learners examine how economic, social, and ecological processes intersect across scales, and how individual actions shape collective outcomes. Inquiry-based and interdisciplinary pedagogies replace isolated subject teaching, inviting students to integrate data, perspectives, and values. Teachers act as facilitators who guide reflection on complexity and moral choice. Sustainability becomes a lens for examining how human behavior and social structures, fostering empathy, agency, and hope rather than fear or guilt. Globalization has also intensified focus on global citizenship, migration, digital communication, and cross-border collaboration, meaning classrooms increasingly mirror global diversity. Education policy now seeks to develop students who are active, informed, and compassionate participants in this landscape. The Melbourne Declaration on Educational Goals for Young Australians calls for young people to engage confidently with global issues. The International Baccalaureate defines learners as open-minded, caring, and reflective, recognising shared responsibility for the planet. ACARA's priority on Asia and Australia's engagement with Asia similarly promotes intercultural understanding and regional literacy. These frameworks share the belief that education must foster empathy, ethical awareness, and cross-cultural competence. Kasgard argues that genuine global citizenship involves re-narrating relationships, understanding oneself in connection with others and with the more than human world. Pedagogically, this calls for classroom discussions that explore multiple perspectives, comparative case studies, and projects requiring intercultural collaboration. Learning becomes relational, where students build respect for diversity and recognize interdependence as a defining feature for contemporary life. For teachers, global citizenship also requires reflexivity. They must recognize how personal values and cultural assumptions influence interactions and expectations. Professional practice therefore extends beyond curriculum delivery to include modelling curiosity and respect for difference. Culturally responsive pedagogy, inclusive language, and acknowledgement of Indigenous and global perspectives help students see themselves as part of a shared humanity. Digital technology amplifies these dynamics by connecting learners to global events and discourse in real time. Students encounter issues such as climate justice, migration, and inequality through online spaces, often before they are discussed in class. Educators must therefore teach judgment, digital literacy, and critical evaluation. Globalization thus broadens the teacher's role from subject specialist to guide for navigating complex, contested information environments. Professional identity is dynamic and relational, anchored in what McGregor calls radical hope, or the belief that education can still make a meaningful difference. Such hope sustains teachers' morale, purpose, and resilience in uncertain times.